Welcome to Lecture 3 of Certified Information System Security Professional course. Continuing on with Domain 1 on Security and Risk Management, let's now talk about some common terms before we begin to learn more about risk. Vulnerability. A vulnerability can be defined as any weakness in your system or your surrounding that an attacker can make use of to attack you. For example, you live in a house that is made up of glass. An attacker can easily throw a stone to break the glass and enter your house. Now that is a vulnerability, something that can be exploited. Threat. Threat can be defined as a possibility of a vulnerability being exploited to cause loss. If you live in a glass house that is situated on an island that you own, then there is hardly any threat because nobody knows that you live in a glass house. But if you live in a glass house amidst the crowded city, then anybody can see your vulnerability and target it to cause you harm. This is what threat is. Exposure. Exposure can be defined as the available attack surface for the attacker. If whole of your house is made up of glass, then you have a huge attack surface available for the attacker. He can simply attack anywhere. But instead of having glass walls, if you only had glass windows, then that attack area decreases. Attacker can only attack the area where the window is. This is what attack surface is. Keep in mind, the smaller your attack surface, the better you can protect it. Countermeasures. Countermeasures are the steps that we take to eliminate or mitigate risk. Let's talk about risk first to understand this better. Risk. Risk can be defined as the existence of a vulnerability as well as a threat that, when executed, could incur loss. One key point to remember here is that for risk to exist, we need both a vulnerability and a threat. If there is a vulnerability and no threat, then there is no risk. And if there is a threat but no vulnerability, then again there is no risk. Like in the example before, you live in a glass house is vulnerability. But if that glass house is on an island, then there is no threat, thus very low risk. But if you live in a crowded city, that too in a glass house, you have threat and very high risk. Now that you understand what risk is, let's come back to countermeasures. Countermeasures are steps we take to eliminate or mitigate risk. This can include reducing either the vulnerability or the threat or even the loss that can happen. Taking the same example, thinking about the risk if you finally decide, okay, let's solidify my walls and keep the glass for windows. What you are doing here is applying a countermeasure to reduce the risk. Maybe as a side note, you'll install some security systems, CCTVs, etc. By doing all this, you're trying to reduce your vulnerability. Now you decide, wait, instead of living in a crowded city where everyone can see my vulnerability, I'll move to an island. By doing so, you're reducing your threat. But then you decide that you do not want to give up on the beautiful views that you see from inside your glass house and do not want to replace it. So now, instead of solidifying your walls, you simply think that maybe I should not keep anything precious here. So even if there was a burglary, I wouldn't lose something precious and important. Now, what you're doing here is trying to reduce the impact or loss if your vulnerability gets attacked. This is what countermeasures are, the essential steps that you'll take to handle risk. Remember, countermeasures always need to be cost justified. Buying $1 million island to protect your $1,000 house doesn't sound practical, right? So remember to be reasonable and aware when you apply countermeasures. Also, countermeasures should always be applied in multiple layers. That means do not just do one thing and be naive into thinking that it will protect you. Be as suspicious as you can. Apply all possible countermeasures that are in the scope of your vulnerability and your budget. It's a good thing to have burglary alarms, but to tighten it, maybe it's good to have solid walls too. And to make it even tighter, let's not keep anything sensitive here. I hope now you have a clear understanding of what risk is and its related terminologies. Feel free to ask in the comment section if you have any doubts. Do like and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos.